8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Make their head drop.
Good evening, dear friends. Welcome to the webinar dedicated to new endurance rules. Today we'll talk about the most important event that happened right now. The new edition of the FEI Endurance Rules comes into effect. We in Padise Equestrian Centre decided to conduct this webinar to let you know about all the essentials that come into effect since the 1st of July 2020. So, here are the changes to the new rules that we will discuss today. Star level distances, number of loops, minimum weights, minimum age for horses, heart rate assessment, change in the trainer of the horse, mandatory rest periods, consequences for average speed over 20 km per hour, new rules for qualifications at 1 star, 2 stars and 3 stars, qualifications for championships, elite athlete status, penalty points. Of course, we cannot but mention how the coronavirus pandemic affected the calendar of competitions around the world. We will also talk about extending the validity of qualification periods. And finally, we will discuss the situation with the upcoming championships in Pisa in Italy, as well as in Vic in Spain. The most patient of you, who will stay until the end of the webinar, will receive an exclusive gift from us. It is a unique fact sheet for the new rules. The full text of the rules contains 78 pages. We highlighted the most important points and placed this information on a unique mind map. You can save this picture on your phone or computer, and constantly refer to it, if you have questions about the new rules. So let's get started. The new rules were approved at the FEI General Assembly, which was held in Moscow last November. So many new changes were included in these rules that the FEI decided to introduce these changes in 2 stages. The first part of the changes was put into effect on the 1st of January 2020, and the second part of the changes comes into effect on the 1st of July 2020. But, as you know, life has developed a little differently. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the sports season in the first half of the year was actually cancelled. Therefore, in essence, we begin to live on the 1st of July completely according to the new rules, without any transitional period. We will not bore you with a complete listing of all the articles in the rules. We will discuss only the most important points that directly affect each athlete. Therefore, we proceed immediately to the second chapter. Chapter 2, the Competition Article 802. Categories of FEI Endurance Events. International level endurance events are set out in the FEI calendar, and are divided into several categories. They are abbreviated based on the titles made in the French language. There are as follows.
Concours de raid d'endurance international. Concours de raid d'endurance international officiel. Concours de raid d'endurance nationale.
CEI have only an official individual classification. An OC may at its discretion permit athletes to compete at a CEI in a team of 3 to 5 athletes, not necessarily of the same nationality, but it will not be considered an official team competition. CEIO have an official individual classification and an official team classification. Each nation may enter only one team in the team competition. A minimum of 3 teams is necessary for the team competition to be considered an official team competition. Each team must have 3 to 5 combinations. Championships have an official individual classification and an official team classification. Except for young horse championships, where there is only an official individual classification. Championships are divided into 3-star levels, depending on the distance. There are 1-star championships, 2-star championships and 3-star championships. Championships include 1-star championships of a minimum of 100 kilometers and a maximum of 119 kilometers in one day. 2 stars young horse championships with a minimum of 120 kilometers and a maximum of 130 kilometers in one day. 2 stars junior and young rider championships of a minimum of 120 kilometers and a maximum of 130 kilometers in one day. 2 stars senior championships of a minimum of 120 kilometers and a maximum of 139 kilometers in one day. 3 stars senior championships of 160 kilometers in one day. Championships may be organized on a regional, continental, or world level. To ensure the smooth running of a championship, the FEI will require the organizer of a 3-star championship to host a test event around 12 months prior to the championship, which test event must have the same or similar distance, course, and panel of officials as the championship, and the same provider for timing, data handling, and heart rate monitoring. If the OC does not organize a test event, or organizes a test event that does not comply with the requirements, the FEI may withdraw the allocation of the championship from the OC. At the request of the national federation concerned, the FEI may approve an FEI event being combined with a national event. The national and FEI competitions may start at the same time where so requested by the OC. Article 803. Star level of events. CEI, CEIO and championships are divided into 3-star levels, where 3-star being the highest level, 1-star level, competitions between 100 to 119 kilometers in one day. 2-star level, competitions between 120 to 139 kilometers in one day, or between 70 to 89 kilometers per day over 2 days. 3-star level, competitions between 140 to 160 kilometers in one day, or 90 to 100 kilometers per day over 2 days, or 70 to 80 kilometers per day over 3 days or more. The FEI may create special categories of events for emerging programs in developing nations or regions or for the purposes of research into potential changes to these endurance rules. Article 805. Minimum weights. Athletes must comply with the following minimum weight requirements, which include all riding equipment except for the bridle, young rider and junior, at all competitions and championships 60 kilograms. Senior rider, at CEI 1-star and 2-star 70 kilograms. At CEI 3-star, at CEIO and at championships 75 kilograms. If juniors or young riders participate in competitions for seniors, they must comply with the minimum weight requirements applicable to seniors for such competitions. The athlete must maintain the minimum riding weight at all times during the competition while completing loops of the course. If an athlete fails to comply with the minimum weight requirements, he will be disqualified. Article 807. Method of starting. The first day of a competition must have a mass start. Horses may not cross the starting line before the signal is given. Staggered starts may be used for single-day CEI 1-star if there are at least 50 starting combinations, provided that the interval between the first and last combination to start does not exceed 1 hour. No combination may start later than 15 minutes after the official start time. Article 809. Classification. Each athlete must carry out the entire competition as if competing alone against the clock, taking account of the track, distance, terrain, and climate, and without compromising the welfare of the horse. The combination that finishes the course in the shortest time will be classified as the winner of the competition. If a national federation starts 3 or more combinations, the combinations will be eligible for team and individual classification. The winner of the team competition is the team with the best time after adding the final classification of the 3 highest placed combinations in the team. If a national federation starts fewer than 3 combinations, or fewer than 3 combinations in a team are classified, that team may not be placed as a classified team. If any combination whose result counted towards team classification is subsequently disqualified, the classification of that entire team will become null and void. When 2 or more combinations start the competition at the same time and finish with the same total riding time, the ground jury must determine which combination crossed the finish line first. That combination will be classified ahead of the other combination. There may not be any ties. Article 8.10. Removal from competition. All horses removed, voluntarily or otherwise, from competition must be presented for horse inspection immediately after removal. Failure to comply with this rule will result in the issue of an endurance yellow warning card to the athlete and trainer, disqualification of the combination, the imposition of a 60-day mandatory out-of-competition period for the horse, and the penalty points. Article 8.11. Pre-ride briefing. For all events, a pre-ride briefing must be conducted. Attendance is mandatory for all athletes, trainers, chefs d'équipe, if applicable, officials, and veterinarians. Attendance is recommended but not required for crew members. For championships, the pre-ride briefing must be conducted in English. There are no mandatory language requirements for the pre-ride briefing at other events. Chapter 3, The Course and Field of Play. Article 8.13. Field of Play. The field of play includes all areas where the competition and related veterinary inspections take place: course, crew points, and vet gate. The course is split into loops and phases. Crew points are the designated areas on the course where the crew members may assist their combination. Vet gate is the designated area where combinations have to stop after each loop for horse inspections and mandatory rest periods. The vet gate includes the following areas: recovery area, vetting area, and hold area. The recovery area is the area after the end of each loop where the horses can recover before entering the vetting area for horse inspection. Vetting area is the area where horses must undergo horse inspections after each loop. Hold area is the area where horses can rest following horse inspections in the vetting area to complete the required hold time. The maximum number of crew members allowed on the field of play is 4 per horse. At all times on the field of play, the athlete and horse in a combination, and the crew members assisting that combination, must be identified with the same number. Any person entering the vetting area must be identified by the OC. Such person must wear the official identification at all times in the vetting area. Any person accompanying a horse in the vetting area must wear the number that corresponds to that horse. If a person assists an athlete and/or horse without wearing proper identification or the correct corresponding number, such assistance will be considered prohibited assistance. Article 8.14. Loops. The total length of the course must be divided into a number of sections called loops. Loop time is calculated from the time the combination crosses the start line of a loop until it reaches the end line of that loop. Loop time does not include any recovery time or time spent in the vetting area. Loop speed is the average speed of the combination over a loop, calculated by dividing the length of the loop by the time taken by the combination to complete the loop. The length of each loop may vary, i.e. loops do not have to be of an equal length. Each loop must be a minimum of 20 kilometers and a maximum of 40 kilometers in length. Each competition must have the following minimum number of loops, depending on the total length of the course for that competition. For the distance of 100 to 119 kilometers there must be a minimum of 3 loops. For the distance of 120 to 139 kilometers there must be a minimum of 4 loops. For the distance of 140 to 160 kilometers for the CEI 3-star there must be a minimum of 5 loops. For a 3-star championship of 160 kilometers there must be a minimum of 6 loops. The OC must ensure that there is access to water for the horses on the course at least every 10 kilometers. Article 815. Phases. A phase, or phase time, includes the combination's loop time plus the horse's recovery time after that loop. The final phase does not include any recovery time after the final loop. Article 816. Vet gates. The time the horse spends in the recovery area after crossing the end line of a loop until it crosses the line into the vetting area to be presented for its horse inspection is referred to as its recovery time. If the horse's heart rate exceeds the maximum heart rate parameters, the initial time recorded on entering the vetting area is discarded. If the horse is presented a second time for a heart rate re-inspection, the time is stopped again when the horse crosses the line into the vetting area for the second time, and it is the second time that it crossed the line into the vetting area that is recorded as the recovery time. No more than 2 people may accompany a horse in the vetting area. Any persons entering the vetting area must be properly identified. Horses may also be required to undergo a re-inspection before leaving the vet gate for the next loop. The first assessment to be performed as part of a horse inspection is the heart rate assessment. For all events, horses must be presented for a heart rate assessment with a heart rate of no more than 64 beats per minute within 15 minutes of crossing the end line of each loop, and 64 beats per minute within 20 minutes of crossing the finish line of the final loop. If the horse's heart rate is higher than the maximum heart rate parameters, the horse may be presented a second time for a heart rate re-inspection provided that it is still within the permitted presentation time. If a horse does not pass the second presentation, it will be designated as failed to qualify. A third presentation is not permitted. At the first vet gate after the halfway point on the course or at the third vet gate, whichever comes first, and at each subsequent vet gate, horses that present at the vetting area with a heart rate greater than 68 beats per minute at the first presentation, must pass a heart rate re-inspection and a compulsory re-inspection before being permitted to start the next loop. At the final horse inspection, the horse may be presented only one time. Horses that do not meet the maximum heart rate parameters at this presentation will be designated as failed to qualify. After each loop, except for the final loop, horses must be given a mandatory rest period, hold time, which begins when the recovery time ends and continues for the specified period. Hold times are subject to the following requirements. There must be a hold time for the horse at each vet gate, except the final vet gate after the finish, of at least 1 minute per 1 kilometer of the loop just completed. For example, following a 35 kilometers loop, there must be a minimum hold time of at least 35 minutes. In CI 3 stars and championships, there must be at least one hold time of a minimum of 50 minutes. In all other events, there must be at least one hold time of a minimum of 40 minutes. The maximum scheduled hold time for a single hold in a one-day event is 60 minutes. Where compulsory re-inspections are required, the hold time must be at least 40 minutes, and horses are required to present for such re-inspections no more than 15 minutes before the end of that hold time. The competition schedule may set out maximum heart rates and presentation times that are lower or shorter than the stated maximums. To safeguard the welfare of the horses and the safety of the athletes, the president of the ground jury may prior to or during an event, reduce the maximum heart rate parameters, shorten the presentation times at vet gates, and/or increase the hold times. Modifications to the above parameters must be announced to all athletes before the start of the loop concerned. Article 817. Plan of the course. The course of a competition must be officially established at least 7 days before the competition begins, and must be approved by the technical delegate prior to handing over to the ground jury. Each athlete must be given access to a plan or map, showing the track of the course, including the start and the end of each loop, permitted crewing and water points, vet gates, and any known hazards. For championships, the OC must provide copies of such plans to each athlete. After the course has been officially established, no changes may be made without the approval of the technical delegate and the president of the ground jury. Article 822. Assistance on course. The competition schedule must detail what assistance may be given to combinations during a competition, and in particular where such assistance is allowed on the course and within vet gates. The designated areas on a course where crewing is permitted are called crew points. There must be at least 5 kilometers between crew points. Crewing outside the designated crew points is prohibited and will result in disqualification. However, it remains the responsibility of the athlete to manage his horse according to the climate and conditions, and if a horse needs urgent assistance to protect its welfare, the athlete must stop his horse to obtain such assistance. A horse that receives urgent assistance may be designated as failed to qualify for veterinary or other reasons. A combination may be assisted at any time if an athlete falls or is otherwise separated from his horse, or if the horse loses a shoe. An athlete or trainer who receives or provides the following assistance will receive an endurance yellow warning card and also could be disqualified for being followed, preceded or accompanied on any part of the course by any person on foot, on a bicycle, or in a motorized vehicle. For encouraging a horse during the trot in the vetting area, except that the person trotting the horse may use limited verbal encouragement. For cutting wire fences or altering a part of an enclosure on or within the course so as to clear a way, or cutting down trees, or eliminating challenges, or altering technical aspects of the course. For providing or accepting any assistance on any part of the course, not specifically designated for such assistance. For accepting any intervention by a person not authorized to assist the combination, whether solicited or not, with the object of advantaging the athlete or his horse. Article 824. Dyes and skin creams. Dyes, including henna, may not be used on the horse at any time on the field of play, as it may obstruct the veterinary inspection and identification of the horse. Barrier cream or other topical skin cream may be used on the horse, provided that it is removed before presentation for horse inspections, or at the request of any veterinarian or official anywhere on the field of play. Failure to comply with this provision will result in disqualification. Chapter 4, Eligibility. Article 826. Minimum age requirements for athletes and trainers. A person may participate as an athlete in an endurance event from the 1st of January in the year when he reaches the age of 14. To be registered with the FEI as the trainer of a horse, the trainer must be 18 years old or older. Article 827. Minimum age requirements for horses. The minimum age requirements for horses are set out below. For novice qualification it is 5 years old. For CEI 1-star competition it is 6 years old. For CEI 2 stars competition it is 7 years old. For CEI 3 stars competition it is 8 years old. For CEIO and championships, horse must be at least 1 year older than the minimum age requirement that applies to a CEI of the same star level as the championship. For example, to participate in a 2-star championship, the horse must be 8 years old or older. Horses must be 8 years old to participate in the Young Horse Championships. For the avoidance of doubt, 8 years is a required age, not a minimum age. Article 828. Registration. To participate in competitions, all athletes, horses, and trainers must be registered with the FEI. If the registered trainer of a horse changes, the horse may not participate in any competition for a period of 30 days, starting from the date of notification of the change to the FEI. Chapter 5, Qualifying for and competing in FEI events. Article 832. Novice qualifications. All horses and athletes must have successfully completed their novice qualifications to be eligible to advance through the CEI star level qualification process. Novice qualifications must be administered by each national federation. Horses and athletes must have successfully completed, not necessarily as a combination, 2 novice rides of 40 to 79 kilometers and 2 novice rides of 80 to 100 kilometers, each restricted to a speed of no more than 16 kilometers per hour. all qualifying novice rides must be completed within a 2-year period. A national federation may ask the FEI to exempt an athlete or horse from the novice qualifications. The horse will be granted an exemption from the novice qualifications if it is 8 years or older at the time of the request, and in the 3 years prior to the request, it has successfully completed a cumulative minimum of 480 kilometers in competitions over distances of 80 kilometers, including at least one competition of 80 kilometers or more at the age of 8 or older. The athlete will be granted an exemption from the novice qualifications if he has successfully completed a cumulative minimum of 480 kilometers in competitions over 80 kilometers or more in the 3 years prior to the request. Article 833. CEI qualifications. Once an athlete or horse has qualified for a CEI star level, he or it may be referred to as an athlete or horse of that star level. The qualification procedure for CEI 1-star level is set out below. Athletes and horses are qualified to compete at the CEI 1-star level once they have successfully completed all the novice qualifications, but no earlier than 6 months for athletes, and 1 year for horses, after the successful completion of their first novice ride. Athletes and horses must successfully complete a CEI 1-star competition within 2 years of qualifying for the CEI 1-star level. If they fail to do so, they will lose their CEI 1-star qualification, and must update their novice qualifications to re-qualify for the CEI 1-star level. The qualification procedure for CEI 2-star level is set out below. Athletes and horses are qualified to compete at the CEI 2-star level once they have successfully completed 2 out of 3 consecutive CEI 1-star within a 2-year period. Once qualified for the CEI 1-star level and CEI 2-star level, there are no further requirements to compete at those levels. For example, you successfully completed the first competition, eliminated in the second, then eliminated in the third, and successfully completed the fourth competition. This means that out of 3 consecutive competitions you have successfully completed only 1. This is not enough, and you need to once again compete in the next 5th competition, and if you successfully complete it, then the qualification will be completed. Athletes and horses may only compete at the CEI 3-star level if they are qualified as a combination. To so qualified, they must have successfully completed 2 out of 3 consecutive CEI 2-star competitions, and 1 of them together as a combination, all within a 2-year period. The combination ride may be one of the 2 qualifying successful rides or may be a separate third ride. If the athlete and horse are both individually qualified for the CEI 3-star level, but in other combinations, i.e. with other partners, they have to successfully complete 1 CEI 2-star competition as a combination to compete together in CEI 3-star level. Athletes with elite status are exempt from this requirement to complete 1 ride together as a combination. Once again, put your attention on this important new change in the rules. Now you can't take someone else's rental horse and immediately compete in the 3-star competition on it. First, you have to successfully complete a 2-star competition on that rental horse. Article 835. Validity of CEI star level qualification. Each CEI star level qualification achieved will be valid for athletes for 5 years, and for horses for 2 years. Each time an athlete or horse successfully completes a competition at the level for which he or it has qualified, the athlete's or horse's qualification at his or its current level will be automatically revalidated. If an athlete or a horse fails to successfully complete a competition at the level for which he or it has qualified within a 2-year period, the athlete or horse will automatically drop down 1 level of qualification. If an athlete or horse fails to revalidate a qualification within a 2-year period, and so drops down a level, to regain the expired qualification the athlete or horse must successfully complete 1 competition at the lower level. Article 836. Championships. To qualify for championships, horses and athletes must have graduated through the qualifying processes for novice and CEI star qualifications, up to and including the star level of the championship. For example, for a 2-star championship, The athlete and horse must each be qualified for the CEI 2-star level, and successfully completed the relevant additional number of CEI competitions. Of those additional rides, 1 or 2 must have been undertaken by the relevant athlete and horse as a combination, and that ride, or one of those 2 rides, must have taken place prior to, but no more than 2 years prior to, the deadline for nominated entries for the championship or 60 days prior to the championship, whichever comes first. The additional number of CEI rides are as follows: for 1-star championships, it is 2 out of 3 consecutive CEI 1-star rides or higher, including 1 in combination. For 2-star young horse championships, it is 1 CEI 2-star ride in combination. For 2-star young rider and junior championships, it is 2 CEI 2-star rides or higher, including 2 in combination. For 2-star senior championships, it is 2 CEI 2-star rides or higher, including 2 in combination. For 3-star senior championships, it is 2 CEI 3-star rides, including 1 in combination. Let's consider 3 most popular examples. 2-star young horse championships, 2-star young rider and junior championships, and 3-star senior championships. So, young horse championship, it is 2-star level championship. To qualify for this championship, horses and athletes must each be qualified for the CEI 2-star level, and successfully completed 1 CEI 2-star competition in combination, no more than 2 years prior to the deadline for nominated entries. Next, young rider, and junior championships, it is also 2-star level championship. To qualify for this championship, horses and athletes must each be qualified for the CEI 2-star level, and successfully completed 2 CEI 2-star competitions or higher, including 2 in combination, no more than 2 years prior to the deadline for nominated entries. And finally, World and European Championship for senior riders. It is 3-star level championship. To qualify for this championship, horses and athletes must each be qualified for the CEI 3-star level, and successfully completed 2 CEI 3-star competitions, including 1 in combination, no more than 2 years prior to the deadline for nominated entries. Article 837. Consequences for repeated FTQ and or DSQ designations with average speeds exceeding 20 km per hour. If an athlete or horse, in any combination, is designated as failed to qualify, FTQ, or disqualified, DSQ, at a number of competitions within a 1-year rolling period, and the average speed of the athlete or horse over the course at each of those competitions exceeded 20 km per hour, the consequences will apply to the athlete and horse in question. If there are 2 eliminations at consecutive competitions, then speed restricted to no more than 18 km per hour. Speed restriction will be lifted after the successful completion of 1 competition at any CEI star level within the speed restriction. If there are 3 eliminations in a 1-year rolling period, then speed restricted to no more than 18 km per hour. Speed restriction will be lifted after the successful completion of 2 competitions at any CEI star level within the speed restriction. If there are 4 eliminations in a 1-year rolling period, then the athlete or horse will be demoted by 1 qualification level. All requirements to qualify for the next CEI star level must be completed anew, and speed restricted to no more than 18 km per hour. Speed restriction will be lifted after the successful completion of 2 competitions at the qualification level to which the athlete or horse is demoted within the speed restriction. If there are 5 eliminations in a 1-year rolling period, then the athlete or horse will be demoted to national level. All novice qualifications must be completed before progressing again through the CEI star qualification levels. If the athlete or horse satisfies the relevant conditions for lifting the speed restriction, or is demoted to national level following 5 eliminations in a 1-year rolling period, then his or its number of FTQ or DSQ designations will be reset to 0. Article 838. Calculating average speed and speed restrictions. The average speed of a combination over a course, including for the purposes of determining if 20 km per hour has been exceeded, is the average speed over all completed loops, including any loop that ends in a failed to qualify designation. If a loop is not completed, then the speed of that partial loop does not count towards the average. If a horse fails to complete the first loop, no average speed will be recorded. To comply with the speed restriction of 16 km per hour or of 18 km per hour, the average speed of a combination in each loop must be no more than the applicable speed restriction. It is not enough for the combination to keep its average speed over all of the loops combined under the speed restriction. If the average speed of a combination exceeds the applicable speed restriction on any loop, the combination will be classified as failed to qualify speed, FTQ-SP. If the horse fails a horse inspection after such loop, the combination will also be classified according to any other elimination codes that apply for veterinary reasons. Article 839. Mandatory out-of-competition periods. After competing in a national event or FEI event, a horse may not compete in any national event or FEI event for the following mandatory out-of-competition period. From crossing the start line up to 54 kilometers, 5 days. Over 54 kilometers to 106 kilometers, 12 days. Over 106 kilometers to 126 kilometers, 19 days. Over 126 kilometers to 146 kilometers, 26 days. Over 146 kilometers, 33 days. In addition to the standard period, the following mandatory out-of-competition periods and other consequences will apply where the following circumstances occur at an FEI event or national event. Where more than one of the circumstances below apply, the additional mandatory out-of-competition periods will be cumulative. Horses that exceed an average of 20 km per hour over completed loops of a course, 7 days. Second metabolic elimination in a rolling year, 14 days. Third, or subsequent, metabolic elimination in a rolling year, 60 days. Third, or subsequent, elimination for the irregular gait in a rolling year, 180 days, and horse must undergo a specific examination protocol before being eligible to compete in any FEI events or national events. Serious metabolic injury, 60 days. Serious musculoskeletal injury, 180 days. Failure by the person responsible to provide a copy of the veterinary report from a designated approved referral center to the FEI Veterinary Department, 180 days. Serious injury is a special code in the final results, which in severity is between minor injury and catastrophic injury, i.e. injury incompatible with life, which usually requires immediate euthanasia. Serious musculoskeletal injuries include but are not limited to fractures, serious tendon or ligament damage, or muscle injuries that preclude normal ambulation. A horse that is non-weight bearing, even if the cause is undiagnosed, must be classified as having a serious injury, musculoskeletal. Serious metabolic injuries include any condition that requires urgent treatment or fails to be completely resolved by treatment at the venue, and in the opinion of the Veterinary Commission, requires further assessment and continued appropriate veterinary care beyond the period of competition. Examples include but are not limited to persistent colic, acute kidney injury, myopathy, collapse, heat stroke, and other metabolic conditions that may compromise the horse's health and well-being. If the condition is such that referral is recommended, it must be considered a serious injury, metabolic. The standard mandatory out-of-competition period starts to run from 00:01 GMT the day after the relevant ride finishes. The end of the ride is determined by the maximum ride time allowed, and finishes at midnight GMT on the last day of the mandatory out-of-competition period. Any additional mandatory out-of-competition period starts to run from 00:01 GMT the day after the standard mandatory out-of-competition period expires, and finishes at midnight GMT on the last day of the additional mandatory out-of-competition period. In any case, the published ride start time of the horse's next competition, national or international, must fall after the expiry of the applicable mandatory out-of-competition period. FEI registered horses may not compete in any national events or FEI events during any mandatory out-of-competition period. If a horse participates in a national event or FEI event during any mandatory out-of-competition period, the athlete who rode the horse, and the trainer of the horse, if applicable, will receive an official notification from FEI. The penalty points and suspension will take effect as of the date of the FEI notification. The results obtained by that horse, and by any athlete riding that horse, in the national event or FEI event concerned will be disqualified. Article 842. Transitional Provisions. As of the 1st of July 2020, athletes and horses retain any star-level qualification and successful completions that they had achieved as at the 30th of June 2020. They will be deemed to have completed the qualification requirements for their star level under these endurance rules. The qualification requirements for championships will not apply to any championships being held in 2020, and so will apply only to championships held from the 1st of January 2021 onwards. The qualification procedure for championships set out in the 2019 edition of the Endurance Rules will apply to championships held in 2020. Athletes and horses who have successfully completed a CEI 2-star competition, or CEI 3-star competition together in combination, since the 30th of June 2018, will be deemed to have qualified to compete as a combination at the CEI 3-star level for a period of 2 years from the 1st of July 2020. Article 861. Elite Athlete Status. Elite status has not disappeared from the new rules, but its value has undergone some changes. According to the old rules, elite status gave athletes the opportunity to participate in the championships without the requirement to obtain qualification in combination with the horse. That is, an elite rider could take someone else's rental horse and immediately ride on it at the World or European Championships. Under the new rules, this possibility has gone. Elite athlete status will not result in automatic qualification for any championships. Now everyone must obtain the same qualifications for the championship. The only advantage that elite status gives riders under the new rules, is that they do not require to obtain the qualification in combination with a horse at CEI 2-star competition, before competing at CEI 3-star competition on this horse. Requirements for obtaining and maintaining elite status remain the same. To achieve elite athlete status, junior and young rider must have successfully completed a minimum of 10 CEI 2-star or higher. To achieve elite athlete status, senior rider must have successfully completed a minimum of 10 CEI 3-star 160 kilometers. To maintain elite athlete status, junior and young rider must successfully complete at least one CEI 2-star or higher within every successive 2 years. To maintain elite athlete status, senior rider must successfully complete at least one CEI 3-star 160 kilometers within every successive 2 years. Athletes who receive any form of a suspension as defined under the FEI General Regulations, or commit an offense under the FEI Equine Anti-Doping and Control Medication Regulations will automatically lose their elite status, and will be required to requalify again by completing all 10 required CEI competitions. Chapter 9, Disciplinary. Article 864. Athlete and Trainer Penalty Points. An athlete and trainer will each automatically receive the following number of penalty points for each incident set out below. Failure to qualify, metabolic, 10 points. Failure to qualify, serious injury, metabolic, 25 points. Failure to qualify, serious injury, musculoskeletal, and/or a catastrophic injury, 80 points. Horse participating in an FEI event or national event during the applicable mandatory out-of-competition period, 100 points. Horse is not presented for horse inspection before leaving the field of play, 100 points. Incorrect behavior, 100 points. Failure by the person responsible to provide a copy of the veterinary report from a designated approved referral center to the FEI, 80 points. Athletes and trainers accumulate penalty points over a rolling period of 1 year. Penalty points will be removed from the running total 1 year from the date on which they were incurred. Article 866. Suspensions. If an athlete or trainer incurs 100 or more penalty points, the athlete or trainer will receive an automatic 2-month suspension. After the suspension is served, the athlete's or trainer's penalty points total will be reduced by 100 points. If a horse ridden by an athlete suffers a serious injury and/or a catastrophic injury within 1 year of any other horse ridden by the same athlete also suffering a serious injury and/or a catastrophic injury, that athlete will be automatically suspended for 6 months. Well, here is the whole thing that you as athletes need to know about the new rules. We read 78 pages of the rules for you, and summarized all the main points in this webinar. We deliberately did not waste your time on issues related to officials and the organization of competitions, as the officials and organizers themselves should be well aware of the new rules. Now let's move on from the text of the rules to more pressing things. The coronavirus pandemic has made adjustments, and so the FEI made emergency decisions to mitigate the situation. The first decision is to extend the validity of novice qualifications. The validity period of novice qualifications has been increased by 6 months, and now is not 24 months, but 30 months. This means that after you have successfully completed 4 novice qualification rides, you have 30 months to successfully complete the first CEI 1-star competition. The second decision concerns the extension of the validity of the CEI qualifications for horses. As you know, the CEI star level qualifications are valid for 5 years for riders, and 2 years for horses. So, this 2-year period for horses is also increased by 6 months, and now it is also 30 months. Both of these decisions came into effect on the 6th of June, and they will be valid for 3 months, after which the FEI will reconsider this issue. And now let's move on from the theory to a discussion of practical issues. Endurance Championships 2020, to be, or not to be? That's the question. 3 championships were set in the FEI calendar. The World Championship for senior riders was scheduled for the 5th of September in Pisa, in Italy. Now it is postponed to the 22nd of May 2021. The European Championship for young riders and juniors as well as the World Championship for young horses, both were scheduled for the 25th to 27th of September in the Spanish city of Vic. Now they are both postponed to 2022, the exact dates will be announced later. The cancellation of all 3 championships was expected. Since the European Union has not yet opened the borders for all countries of the world, it is impossible to be sure that all participants will be able to come to these championships. Moreover, due to the cancellation of most competitions in the first half of the year, almost no one had the opportunity to get the required qualifications for the championships this year. And another important point needs to be taken into account. Now the minimum age of horses is considered according to the new rules. This means that only horses of 9 years and older can participate in the World Championship in Pisa. For the Young Riders Championship, the minimum age of the horses is 8 years and older. For a Young Horse Championship, the horses must be exactly 8 years old. For 2022, it means that horses must be the 2014 year of birth. So, what do you think about all these postponements of the championships? Are you ready to take part in the World Championship in Pisa in May 2021 based on the new qualification requirements? Remember, you as a rider, and your horse, both need to have successfully completed 2 competitions of CEI 3-star level, and one of them in a combination. Also remember, you need to complete that combination ride no later than 2 months prior to the date of championship. It means that you need to complete that combination ride before the 22nd of March 2021. In other words, you have the upcoming autumn-winter season to achieve the required combination ride, if you still do not have one. Please, let us know your opinion about that situation, leave your comment below this video. Dear friends, finally, it is time for our exclusive gift from Padise Equestrian Centre. Each of you will receive a unique fact sheet for the new rules. The full text of the rules contains 68 articles and 8 annexes. We highlighted the most important things and placed this information on one simple mind map. You can save this picture on your phone or computer, and constantly refer to it when you have questions about the new rules. A link to this mind map is published in a comment below this video. Take it, share it with your friends, and enjoy. We wish everyone many successful finishes, because you know that to finish is to win. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.